Shannon, we have your pollution story.
Yes. Let me pull that up real quick just so I can have my facts straight.
And this one is a doozy.
Yes, it is. It's very, people should be, anyway, we live in New York. This should be alarming to anyone who lives in New York City because the subway is a primary source of transportation. So it's basically an article about the pollution in the U.S. subway systems and how high it is, and basically something to think about next time you ride in the train. So basically, I don't really remember it off the top of my head to really summarize the whole article, but basically they did tests on a bunch of subways in New York City and in a couple other places. I think Boston, Jersey, Philadelphia, other places that have like, prominent subway systems.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they did these tests, they found that levels of tiny specks of pollution called PM2.5 were well above nationally determined safe levels of 35 micrograms per cubic meter in each of the cities. So New York was the worst. So New York Metropolitan Transit Authority system had 251 micrograms per cubic meter in like most of the subway systems, and 35 is the average, safe level. And they were finding mostly 251 micrograms. And then DC was second worst. So they had 145 micrograms. Philadelphia was the cleanest system, but still had high amounts. Yeah, but they had the least amount. So it was okay.
Still over, but
yeah. So basically, they're just trying to raise awareness that we should be a little concerned about these toxins that we're inhaling every day when you're standing in the subway waiting for the train for long periods of time. And basically the impact that that's going to have on your health overall, which they said in this article that they don't really know the long-term effects of inhaling all this stuff, but still something to be aware of. And in particular, Christopher Street, which is a Manhattan station that helps connect New York and New Jersey, had a particle pollution level of 1,499 micrograms per cubic meter, 77 times the safe level. So that's crazy to me. And, we got to take a break from all this politics talk. And are you sleeping?
Yeah, well, I try to lie. I was like, yeah, I was sleeping.
Yeah, you were. I could tell. Anyway, as I was saying, got to take a break. Take your mind away from politics for a second, because I feel like that's all we talk about in the world right now. And like, think about the other things, the things that are killing you in your everyday life, like the subway air.
So, in my defense, I wasn't sleeping because Shannon was born. I wasn't sleeping because she was born. I promise you I wasn't. I was just sleeping because I was just tired. But I would like to bring this point up. The subway looks nasty.
Yes, it does.
You see,
in New York, and only in some places. And the subway has a potential of looking very clean. When I was going to
bring that up. When I was in DC, and I took the subway, it was one of the cleanest places that I've seen in my life. And by the way,
DC is just as dirty in terms of pollutant, so it's all a farce. Continue.
I'm with you. I'm just saying the fact that we look dirty in New York City, right? Like you'll be down there and everything looks filthy. And so you're not even under the illusion that this is a clean, spot. So for example, when I heard, now I was asleep now, but when I heard that Shannon read those stats before, about Christopher Street.
Yep.
I wasn't like shocked. Oh my God, I can't believe it. No, it sounds very believable. But the fact that I'm not concerned because I've been traveling in filth for years, I think it's part of the problem that Shannon's talking about, because this is like it's so normal for us. Yeah.
And like we kind of wonder, like cancer is a very prominent disease, obviously, and we wonder like how cancer, like how these things come about in our bodies, and it literally is because of things in our environment. Some of the time, actually, a lot of the time, that makes up a lot of this. So people really should be thinking about that.
This brings up another part of the conversation to be had where
but really quickly before you change the subject, I'm sorry, never mind, continue. I'll just go after you.
Okay, I was gonna say that this brings up an interesting conversation about how much about the environmental degradation or deterioration do you disclose to the community, because it's not just the subway stuff, right? Because see, that sounds like it should be important information, but somewhere some people decided that information was not important enough for the public to know.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And so it brings into question, okay, well, who's deciding which part of the public safety stuff is important? Because to me, that sounded pretty important.
It is
now,
pretty
the
important.
only reason why you want to tell us this is because you want to make sure that people keep using the subway so you can still make your money, which then means you have a conflict of interest. And so that makes me uncomfortable. Also, people don't realize this. I'm not going to tell you where I live, but in the Bronx, by the Cross Bronx Expressway. Shannon, come on, man. You gotta get away where I live. I'm just saying, we have like the highest, I think the highest levels of asthma in the city. And one of the theories is because of the Cross Bronx Expressway. All them cars driving by, those fumes going up, it's making people in the community sick. Once again, extremely important information that I feel like no one talks about.
Yeah. And so according to this article, so the pollution that they found in the Christopher Street subway station is the worst pollution ever measured in a subway system, higher than some of the worst days in Beijing or New Delhi. So
let me ask you a question, given this information. Do you think we should start walking around with those masks? Because isn't the reason why they walk around with masks on over in the Asian countries is because of the pollution levels?
No, I mean, that might be part of it. But no, they wear masks for germ purposes.
Why
it's for germs.
The Asians.
It's for germs.
Walk around.
They wear masks when they feel like they're sick so that they don't spread their germs. A logical thing that we should adapt in practice also after this pandemic is over.
Hold on. I'm going to find out if Shannon is fake news Shannon or not.
It's not fake news. It's true. Oh, I also have something. After you read these stats, I have something else from the article that I want to pick out.
Okay. In Asia, it's considered good hygiene to wear a mask. It's thought to be considerate of others. Yes. It can even be stylish to wear a patterned mask. Maybe we should think of...
It's because of germs. Yeah.
Okay. When I first lived in Tokyo in 1984, I noticed that people sometimes wore medical masks out on the street. When I asked the other expats, they told me that the Japanese wore them when they were sick to protect others from getting their germs.
That's what I said. That's right.
Being polite. Okay.
So here, well, actually, I don't want to get off topic. I just want to continue.
Oh, wait, I was right too. When we moved to Beijing in 2011, there were days when the pollution was so thick that I couldn't see more than 4 feet outside of the window.
Well, that makes sense for Beijing because the air quality in China is, especially Beijing, is terrible.
Okay, and so given your study, should we keep wearing masks?
That's what this was another point I was going to bring up. After this is all over and we don't have to wear masks every day outside, should we practice wearing masks when we are sick to keep our germs in, like in Asian countries? I feel like that only makes sense.
We should, but Americans just don't care about
I know Americans. I know Americans are literally the most selfish people ever. So
it's incredible to even imagine. Like they just don't care.
They don't.
Like the other like yesterday, we're in the house and there's these so my neighbors, they babysit, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's just the noise of running in the hallway, but like for a long amount of time. It started like at noon and it went on to like maybe 5 or 6, on and off, on and off, on and off. And so she just had the kids just running in the hallway, but like not because they were disobeying her. She just didn't care.
Yeah.
Now,
inconsiderate. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And that's just like, to me, the perfect snapshot of Americans. They don't care if they're sick. They're just going to go on a subway anyway. I mean, the nasty shit I saw before coronavirus. I mean, people, you learn in like junior high school, hey, you sneeze and you cough into your arm. You know why? Because if you sneeze and you cough into your hand, and then you just hold the pole on the train, thank you for delivering the germs to the pole, and the next person behind you gets the germs. Or when you shake somebody's hand at work or wherever. But no, these people are nasty. They're inconsiderate. America just want to die. Just cutting the slick.
I literally hate the subway. This past year of not having to get on the train to go to work has literally been a blessing.
Life-changing.
But also, so researchers calculated that someone making a typical commute to and from Christopher Street was increasing their risk of an adverse cardiovascular event by 10%.
Wait, what? Repeat that.
The researchers calculated that someone making a typical commute to and from Christopher Street was increasing their risk of an adverse cardiovascular event by 10%.
Now that seems serious.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a heart attack, right?
Yep. So
you know what? You think they're trying to kill us? No, hear me out here. I've been thinking about this for a while, right? Like the like what's the average life expectancy of a American male?
Let's see. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, average life expectancy in the U.S. male. So it's okay. I don't know if this is for male, but the average life expectancy in the U.S. in general is 78.54 years.
Okay.
Right now, I think we start getting Social Security at what 65.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much, 13 years of Social Security income after giving the country what 50 years of service, and this is average, which means a certain percentage of us are going to die well below 78. So right around 70, 71, 72. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we forget that, there's a profit motive to kill off a certain percentage of Americans. And so maybe that's why they don't really care to tell us about this pollution and stuff, because they hope that we get sick and die, and pollution
population control. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to sound all Alex Jonesy, but it just seems weird that this is not considered important information. A 10% increase for a cardiovascular event?
Yep.
Oh, no.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just think about that when you're riding the subway. I mean, but there's not really much option. There's not much else if you don't drive. If you live in New York City, there's really not much else. So I don't really know what to tell you.
Are you reconsidering my proposal?
No, I'm not. If I move anywhere, it's gonna be out of this country. Okay, I cannot stand this place anymore.
You said Bali, right? That's where you want to go?
No, I mean maybe not Bali. Like I'll be fine in Canada. Like I can take myself over to Canada and be just fine.
That's insane, but whatever. Trade. All right.
But anyway, I was just quickly about the subways. I went to Thailand in February of 2019, and their subways in Bangkok were impeccably clean. It was crazy, and they barely have garbage cans anywhere. They hold their trash until they get to a garbage can or they get home. It's crazy.
Now, when you went to Thailand, where did you go specifically?
I went to Chiang Mai, I went to Bangkok, and I went to Phuket.
All right. That's why they can have clean subways.
What do you mean?
Well, look, American tourism in Bangkok, I mean...
But I feel like a lot of Asian countries have clean subway systems, to be honest.
Well, so Asians, like I said, Asians are very... they are rule-following people. Mm-hmm. The current incarnation of Asians, because you had a period of time when you had
what I don't know what you're trying to say.
What's that guy's name? He took over the bad Asian guy. What was his name?
You're losing me.
Who's the guy?
I don't know who you're talking about. Who are you talking about? What are you saying?
Wait. Who is the dude from Mulan?
Oh,
that was a real person.
Yes. I forgot his name though.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there was a point in time where Asians were, just like everybody else. But in the current incarnation, they are very rule following, high trust in government, even governments that are weird to us. Like they don't be like this. They don't look at the communist government in China the way we do. Mm-hmm. They don't. Mm-hmm. It's different for most of them. Even when you go to Singapore, high trust society, North Korea, just many places where they don't have problems following directions, believing the government. They have faith that the government has their best interest at heart. We have the opposite. We have a revolutionary spirit in America. Right. And so we believe in bucking against the system. We don't trust the government. And look, the government has given plenty of reason to be for us to not trust it. But so I'm not surprised that when you went to Thailand that, it was very clean and people were holding their trash until they got to a garbage can, because culturally speaking, that falls in line with being a rule following society. But I'm just saying that the tourism that they get from Bangkok, and it's kind of why they let so much stuff slide in Bangkok, because the tourism money helps fund a lot of what goes on in Thailand as well.
Mm-hmm.
So because keeping a clean subway is expensive.
Yeah,
like really expensive.
But don't you think that that's something good that New York taxpayer money could go towards, other than whatever else we're spending our money on? I don't know.
No, I'm with you. We need an entire just revamp. Like, I just don't understand how a city that takes so much taxes like us can have such a dirty subway system. And it has to be they just don't care. Well, because we don't care. I mean, why should they care? Like if no one's,
I feel
no
like
one's
I feel like
complaining,
we don't care enough. I feel like we've come to accept the filth
dirtiness
that we walk into every day underground with all the rats and things like that. I feel like we've come to accept that as
normal.
Life. And it's not normal. Not normal.
Yeah.
As we just said, it's killing you. So just think about that.
So if you're doing the budget proposal for New York State or for New York City and you're trying to find out, okay, well, where should we put our funds and our money to go to? If literally no one is complaining about the subway,
yeah, they're not going to do it.
Why would you put money towards improving the subway when you use that money for a whole bunch of other stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. We have to make noise, and I think people would make noise if they knew that, like that article that you provided today about, a 10% increase of a cardiovascular event.
Mm-hmm.
So it's insane.